I'm super excited to announce a new sponsor for the podcast. The new sponsor is Bowhead, and Bowhead is a lot of apparel, but also prints and stickers, even skateboards. Born off the coast of California, Bowhead brings you art-forward apparel and, like I said, prints and stickers. I love the stickers. It's all inspired by Mother Nature, inspired by surf and skate and tattoo culture. The designs are so cool. They just make me want to move to Santa Cruz immediately. And I love the tagline that Bowhead has, that not everything has to make sense, because I agree. Not everything does make sense. So I think in a world where everyone's wearing the same mass-produced graphics from chain stores, I think it's really cool to get something original, designed by a real human, designed by a small business, a small artist shop. It's one of my favorite ways to support art in our culture, in our world, is to get something from somebody who actually made it and put all that work in, got their web store together, makes the designs, puts it out there. I know from running my old business, Haute Couture, it takes a ton of work, and any way that I can support artists like that, I will continue to do that. So Bowhead, if you want to check it out, you go to bowhead.art and use code THOUGHT15 for 15% off your order. Thought is in all capitals. So I hope you enjoy it, and please help me welcome our new sponsor.
Hey.
Hey, Greta, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Staying busy, which is the best I could hope for, and
right
with good stuff.
Thank you for doing this. I'm really excited to have you on.
Oh no, my pleasure. Trust me, we're buds,
I appreciate it, because I feel like, I wanted to, this podcast is really just kind of my love letter and love note to whoever happens to find it, and the audience it's building.
I love it. I love that you're doing it. It's really, it's inspirational to me, and every time I see it, and I know it's inspirational to other people. So it's really, and you're doing it, a lot of people want to do it, but you're doing it. So
I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I wanted to do it for so long. I probably mentioned it. We probably talked about it when I was taking lessons with you. I was like, I want to do this, but I just kind of said, fuck it. I was I'm letting it just be, whatever it wants to be in that sense. And that was kind of why I wanted to do it that way, because I feel like I want, obviously I have, people like you and my friends in my life who live really interesting lives, do things unconventionally. And I feel like that's been the beacon of hope for me my whole life, is to not only be somebody who lives just really to my own drum, to my own beat of my drum, but also to, pass along that message to other people who maybe didn't grow up with that message or don't absorb it, that's possible as well. So I want to.
That may not know the friends that you have that you've seen, and they're wondering why they're doing what they're doing, and don't realize there's other things that people do.
Yeah, I feel like, I definitely feel lucky that my parents really did always leave that door open for us. They kind of always were like, you can, whatever you imagine, you can do. Yeah. Didn't necessarily tell us how to do those things, which is fine. That's part of my own path. But they always did encourage us to dream big and to dream uniquely, let's say, right? And I always feel that when I meet certain people or have certain friends or certain community that, it breaks my heart a little bit to hear people sound like they don't have, they're like, this is the only way that I can look at things. And I just kind of taken it upon myself to be someone who'd be like, well, what about if you looked at it like this instead? Have you thought about it like that? Because I think, I think when we have things in our life that make us feel like we've run out of options, those challenges, you either just accept that and you just go, I give up, but not in a surrendery way, in a defeated way, or you go I give up, what else, and you do it in a more expansive way and I don't know, be like that, I guess. So
Yeah, that's, I mean, I try to do the same thing for a lot of my friends, my students, and you see people that you love that are kind of stuck. And I'm not trying to tell them that this way, that another way is easier, because it's probably harder.
Right.
But you know, it's not doing the thing, you know, it's doing something that fills your heart, and that, you know, it's good that you're doing it, and if it's good for you, and at some point you're actually able to help other people, because you which if you're really unhappy, like when I've had, we all have ups and downs, like when I'm down and I'm doing something that I really don't enjoy, I can't help anyone. I'm stuck myself.
Right.
So it's been, you know, and anyone that makes it look easy, I feel like that's just that, maybe that they're having a good day, but it's always ups and downs from everyone that I know. So
yeah, and I think that's like so important to, like, there's that whole like toxic positivity or whatever, and I do talk a lot about, you know, mindset and vibes and like the energy that you want to like bring to wherever you're going and whatever you're doing. And it's like having the like, it's okay to have a bad day, but just don't unpack and live there, was like something that really helped me a lot in that sense. Okay, one of those days, like, I'm just gonna go with this day today. Hopefully tomorrow will be different, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think that, like, are there certain things that you use as tools, or like I know I'm a big like mantra person, or nature and all that. Like, do you use certain tools to help you kind of navigate those times?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, so I was in a bad place. About like 2013 was like, me and my family sometimes call it the worst year ever, and we don't dwell on it. It's just if it comes up,
right.
You know, it was like, you know, people passed away. Like, I had to go start working at the warehouse after this successful music career. And, you know, my wife was waiting a year to get hired to her dream job, and to this day never got it. And, you know, that kind of, it was just like this one thing after another. Our son got sick, and it was like all this stuff. So I was sort of in, you know, I at work, to be honest, I found ways of enjoying this loading trucks thing that I was learning how to do. And I mean, I had loaded band vehicles my whole life, but this was like tractor trailers. So,
the heavy equipment ever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say things to the other guys at work, like, hey, you know, if we hate our job, like, we're here more than we're home. So we're literally hating our lives. So let's try to enjoy this, like, as much as we can, you know. And,
yeah.
And then eventually they put me in charge of the warehouse because I was way too positive, and they were like, oh, this guy motivates these guys. But it all started, I read, like, it really simple and, you know, whatever thing. It was just, I was really unhappy. So I just started like Googling like how to be happy, you know, like, so simple, but like, that's all I had, you know? And I saw this meme came up in the images when I did that. And it was like, the key to happiness is to be okay with whatever happens. And I was like, okay. Well, I can totally get that, because I was used to like being pretty unhappy when something bad would happen. You know, we had to stay late, or we had something got messed up at work and we had to redo the job. Like, and I was used to that being like, oh, this is the most horrible thing that could ever happen to me. But then I was like, what if I just am like, whatever, like, it happened, I'm here, I am getting paid, so let's just keep going, you know? And I started to do that, and that really changed everything for me. As simple as that is, like, I just stopped hating everything. Like my mantras used to be like really bad, like just kill me or whatever, like not like not completely dark, but more like dark humor, like
sure. Jaded.
Like life sucks, that kind of. That's what I would say up until about 2015, and then I was like, I can't keep being miserable. Like something has to change, and it was by changing my daily thoughts were what turned everything around, and eventually my guys in my warehouse were like, "You're the best boss ever. We're never gonna be able to get another job because you're so fun," and whatever. And I'm like, we're still loading the same damn trucks, we're still taking the trash out of all the offices, and all that stuff. But like, I just wouldn't let it be a bum out anymore. And so that it got to where I really didn't mind that job. Like, it was like, I was like, I could do this forever and I'm not unhappy. But then I went, I was asked to do a few musical things, come and show up at a couple emo nights that they were having in New York City. And then I was asked to talk at a music conference in Columbia. And I'm sure I mentioned Columbia to you before, but I've been back 3 times. And that first trip changed the rest of my life, because I just was like sitting there with a guy from Venezuela, a guy from Chile, Colombians, every place in South America, and a guy from Canada, and someone from France, and I was having the best conversations I had in years. And I was like, how come I'm having more fun talking to these people than anyone I've had at work, who I love, all my work people, and I was like, oh, these are music people. Like, this is my tribe,
Mm-hmm.
And it hit me as soon as that hit me, and I was like, I have to quit my job as soon as I get home. I have no idea how I'm going to pay for anything, but what has to happen, and that's what that's what I did, and I quit, and at the end of January 2020, I was done at my job, and a month and a half later, COVID happened, and it was insane, and I was like, oh, wait a second, I don't have a job now, and I didn't qualify for a lot of unemployment because I quit my job, and so I was supposed to do a few tours and things like that, and produce some bands, and everything just stopped. So it's like, oh wait, now what am I doing? So but that was okay, because I had said whatever, I'm okay with whatever happens, and I'm pretty good at like rationalizing myself back to, it not when I'm super upset, but like,
right.
I'm like this weird, I look at it in a nerdy way, I feel like, and I just go like, well, I guess I just got to keep doing it. And like, I really don't want to, but I'll go walk today, and go for walks in the woods, 3 times a week. And, I have time for it now. And, I go with a close friend of mine who, lives by himself, and it's his way of getting out of the house, my way of getting out of the house. And so, and then good things started happening all of a sudden. Like I was called to play in the band Say Anything. And next thing I knew, I went from like loading the trucks and thinking I would never, like literally thinking I would never play music again, to like 4 nights sold out at Bowery Ballroom in New York. And I'm like, what?
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. And so it's been like, still like, even with that, like the night before the first show, I had a panic attack and had to go lay down in my room while the whole band was here at my house, like, and the crew, we were rehearsing in my studio. And I was like, guys, I can't see right now. And
oh no.
and I realized I was having a panic attack. But anyway, so it's not all, happy all every day. It's not easy, but like, I was just freaking out because I hadn't played a show like that in so long. I was playing with my own band, The Color Fred, was opening for, and I was opening, and then I was also playing in the headliner. And this one piece of gear was not working that we all needed to use. And I was like, that was what set me over the edge.
Yeah. Oh, it's always the gear. It's always the technical. You're just like, I can't. Why?
Yeah. So that was, and then I had to, like, eventually. It was funny because we were rehearsing. We were sort of doing Zoom calls before, with the band, rehearsing for the shows, and that band, the singer's in charge, and the other guys are, younger. Like, we're all just trying to learn all these songs. Originally we had to learn like 60 songs, and we cut it down to 25, I think. But they were all freaking out, and I was like, guys, we can't freak out, and we can't be nervous, or like we can't have anxiety about this, because if this isn't fun, I'm not going to do it. I was like, the only reason I play music is because I love it. I didn't get to play music for like 8 years. If this is not fun, then these 4 shows will be my last shows, and that's it. So please, let's not freak out over this. And that they were freaking out because they thought we had to learn. At that point, it was 40 songs, and then I said, no, we're not doing that, because I'll just quit. Like, we're going to start with 20, and when we get to that, we can feel like, okay, now we can at least play a show, and then we'll go from there. And so, and ever since then, the band has been really just a fun thing. And we've been on tour the last 3 years, and we're all in a bus together, camping, and just, having a blast. And so that's what I try to do with everything. Even if, like, that band, I'm not the boss, but I was still like, sorry, I'm
You're like, I gotta.
I'm making this fun, or else, So.
I like that threat. This is going to be fun, or else. Yeah. I love that so much. Are there things, I'm just curious, because like I definitely, like, we're talking about like mindset and keeping it at the forefront of your mind. Do you listen to certain things or read certain things that help you stay in that mindset?
Yes. Yeah, I went through a lot of different phases. A lot of my early how to be happy. I also became obsessed with like the whole alien subject.
Yes.
And
currently doing my own revisit right now.
Yes. Yeah. So I got so deep into that I, like, everyone knows Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 is like the alien guy. And I'm like, I'm so deep into this, I could tell you why I disagree with Tom, like why he's wrong about certain things, and he's like talking to the CIA or something at the moment. And I'm like, no, he still doesn't get it. Like, but he's one of my long ago friends that, so I was sort of into that, and then it went to the other dimensions and the idea of the higher self, and watch a lot of people's near-death experiences and realize how many of them are similar, and then start to learn about why certain ones are different, because it's sort of a reflection of you. And so though, and I've always gone at it like with the aliens. I'm like, all right, if it, just so no one thinks I'm insane, because that's like the whole reason that you can't believe in it because you'll be crazy. My thing was always like, all right, if I find out tomorrow that it's all not true, then I'm not going to cry about it. Like I have one thread to like the old me that didn't know about it, and then the rest is like, okay, I'm in. Tell me more, and So
yeah, I mean, it's super interesting. I think if people find that weird at this point, I find it weird that they find it weird. Like,
no, it's
but it's interesting. And I know you and I, when I was coming over and taking lessons and stuff too, we would talk about these kinds of things a lot. And just it is good for the brain to be curious. I think it's good for our spirits, and especially if we're creative people, it's good for us to be curious. So, I listen and read and watch all kinds of different things, just because it's like, well, let me see it from that. That's interesting how this person looks at it. That's interesting how this person looks at it. Right now I'm listening to the Gnostic Gospels because I'm just really curious. And, and I also been like really into Taoism because I think that is kind of just how, and that's actually what you're saying too, pretty much, like the flow of like the Wu Wei. You're just like, let me just,
yes,
go with the vibe, right? Yeah.
I just, I can't, I don't know. I was brought up like Catholic school and very like regimented, religious, like altar boy, all this stuff. And then I had to go through like, well, there's no magic in the world. Like, I don't believe in that. And it's just dirt and we die and that's it. And, and then the other stuff came to me and I was like, I'm skeptical because I'm like, I'm not going to get drug into a that kind of religion again. Like, I don't, I want people to know, like, I don't tell a lot of friends and have them go, tell me more. They're like, right. Hey, keep it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's somewhere in there. There's a pathway to happiness that that our frustration with everything ruins or like gets lost, and it's very easy to do that. It's more of our tendency to be fearful or see something online and be angry and this, and I try to stay detached to an extent, not a complete escapist. Like I'll engage, but you have to think about what's best for you. And I know I'm learning slowly what makes me happy. So
I love that. I mean, I think very much similar in the whatever happens kind of. I think I've struggled with the I'll be happy, but I'll accept, or like help me find help me find acceptance. And he's just doing a big old stretch right now. Help me find that peace and acceptance, and to it's one of the reasons I spend so much time in the woods, right? Like to be able to connect with that energy every time I feel like, I don't really know, whatever is plaguing me, I'll go, to the woods and ask to be connected somehow. And something really cool happens, just special, a little nod, and then, and it's like, it just centers me back to know that there's more going on than I will ever know, and that we'll ever know. And I think that as we learn, that's like what you're saying. It's like the surrender part of it. Like, I don't understand the full picture, but I'm going to do my best to stay in my own energy and keep it where like I choose to put it, which isn't always, like I've had depression, anxiety all of my life pretty much. And some days it just doesn't, I don't know if it's the brain chemistry synapses, but I've been alive long enough now to know that it'll come back, like I'll just be like, we'll just wait this one out. I think I was already been saying, we'll just kind of like do the things that I know are good and nurturing, or do whatever I can do, and then just let it rest until it resets, because it does.
Yeah, I've found that same thing in the woods. I would do like these week-long hikes on the Appalachian Trail out here on the East Coast. And I remember I went with my dad and my uncle, and this wasn't that long ago, like 2021 probably. And it was like an 8-day thing. And I remember on the third day walking and being like, I thought I would have connected more with nature at this point, but I'm not feeling completely there. But on day 5, it completely hit me. And I was freaking talking to the trees,
Right.
I just felt like part of it, and that's where we belong, obviously. And we've detached ourselves from it. And even, I can't always connect to it instantaneously, but it was, spending a little time outside when you can, it happens. And, I have this other like sort of crazy way of looking at it also, because I also listen to like some channel type of people, and and so one of the things that is interesting to me is the theory, or the whatever you want to say, the idea that we chose as before we came here as the soul or the light out there in the universe. We chose to come and do this life to learn a certain lesson. Mm-hmm. And the thought is like, if you needed to learn teamwork better, you would come and be an ant, and you would learn to work in this ant, hill, and learn to be the best teamwork ever. And then your soul would be out there able to deal with things in that way. And if you were struggling with, depression, you would come and get this set of events. And there were lessons. So the idea is that the earth is a school, and we come here to learn different things at this very hard, difficult school.
Right.
Tired every night, and it's hard to walk up a hill, and we ache and we hurt, and our teeth hurt, and everything,
Yeah.
And we're hungry and we're thirsty. Like, we cannot survive here, but somehow we do. But we come here to learn these lessons. So sometimes when this stuff happens to me, I say to myself, all right, what was I trying to teach myself with this? Like, which thing what am I supposed to learn out of this that I wanted myself to learn, instead of like this other thing that's doing it to me? Like, no, I probably chose this. What's the deal? And the reason that I sort of start to believe in that is because as soon as I figured that out and I get past it, something else always happens. And I'm like, God damn, and the next thing comes, and I'm like, all right, now what's this one supposed to teach me?
Right.
I did not have this in my plan, like, and it's almost like too perfect, the tests that get thrown at us sometimes. Like, you were trying to save $1,000 and you just got there, and then your whole air conditioning system breaks,
Oh my God,
your car breaks down, and you're like, all right, what am I supposed to not save the money? What am I telling myself here? But that helps me a lot of times, because if it's like someone in my family making things hard on me, like a parent of mine giving me a guilt trip, I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to get upset about this. Like, you have like just stay calm, like keep it down here, and those kind of things are the lessons that I think I'm supposed to learn here. Mm-hmm. And the other part of that is the people that say this about looking at life that way, they say, and if you don't learn it, you send yourself back to learn it again. And I'm like, I'm not coming back to do this one again. I'm just going to I'm just going to write it out.
Right. I'm doing this. We're finishing this lesson. Yeah. No, I like how you, because I've definitely heard that as well. And I always get like, I like it applied in some senses. And then of course, we're bombarded with all of the terrible things that are happening in the world. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me how that could be whatever, but let's just put that to that. So like, I really like how the way you're framing it, because it's like, what did I say I wanted to come and learn here? Like your soul, the watcher, the one who's watching. Right. I love that. I love that because I think, it's, our lives, especially when we are self-aware like that, and you're coming up against things that are happening, it really is such an opportunity to, that's why I'm doing this whole podcast, to look at things differently and be like, interesting, how could I look at this differently to evolve my consciousness, to evolve my life, to evolve the people around me? Like, it's such a ripple effect when we just look at it differently or allow ourselves to come to a different conclusion about whatever the situation might be. Yeah, I think, I felt like I haven't had a lot of control in my life for a very long time, maybe ever really in the way that like I would like, and we all feel that way to some extent, right? But because of it, it has evolved me in so many ways that I'm so grateful for, whether it was like health challenges or financial or creative or romantic, whatever, all of those things. Because of reading all the books and doing all the mindset and all the walks in the woods and all of that, it's, my life has felt more rich just from doing that than it would have been had I just stuck with the mindset that I was just kind of programmed with from, my 20s on, which had been like, why me, and instead I'm like, let me just look at this from every other angle and see what feels resonant.
Yeah. And exactly. And I sort of mentioned earlier that I try to rationalize myself to myself, like, all right, listen, Fred, or whatever, and
I understand.
One of the things that got me through a few years ago was like this other sort of rationalization that I was like, like we talk about manifesting and like, or like, and so you think like, do my thoughts actually affect reality or not? Okay. So we don't know. Like some people think yes, some people think no, it doesn't matter. Either way. So I'm worried about something like, well, that worry is a negative thing, and I'm just worrying and I'm ruminating about the same thing over and over again, waiting for it to happen, this bad thing. And if my thoughts do affect reality, I'm only affecting it negatively and making the outcome worse by worrying and thinking very negatively. And if our thoughts are not connected and not affecting reality at all, then me worrying about it is not helping. It's only making me miserable in that wait until this thing happens.
Right.
So that allowed me to let go of like, to put away the worrying about certain things because I was like, whether this, whatever you want to call it, hokey pokey stuff is true or false or not real, me worrying, there's no scenario where that helps me.
Right. So, yeah. It's like you're rehearsing something. Like Matt and I talk about this a lot because of course I'm worrying about something, and I'm like trying to find new ways to let that go. But he's really helped me a lot too with it. But he's like, because I said, part of it is preparation. I was like, part of it is I need to know, like, I need to have just my game plan, like my nervous system feels better when I have just said, okay, like if X, Y, like with Maynard being sick, right? Like, let me just like prepare myself to just be able to digest whatever information comes. And then also, let me also just like, now that I've done that, as he's like, who, me? Now that, excuse me, sir, now that I've done that, I can put that aside and just focus on what's actually happening in the moment that's, present, like, and also let's say even if it is real or isn't real, I'm gonna just put my good intentions out there, and I do a lot of like mental like light like it was really hard for me to do for so long, to picture like filling a room with light or putting light over somebody or whatever, but I do it all the time now, and if anything, it's just helping me stay in a better place. I'm not rehearsing the bad thing, and then knock on wood, things tend to have a better outcome. And it could just be because I'm in a better place or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It was a positive experience for everyone all around. No,
I mean, if your cat is sick, you do have to act and take care of the guy. And go to the vet and do things in this world. And that might, and it does worry me to lose, I got a 14-year-old dog over here sleeping next to me. So, but it's always those challenges. That's why I'm careful not to be like, life is gumdrops and rainbow.
Right. No, I hear the balance. Yeah. No, you're very.
But yeah, I just like you. The thing with the light and the outcome seems to be better. Like sometimes an outcome could be fine, and we look at it as like in the wrong. We look at it as it could have been better. Like like we had my youngest just graduated high school. We had a graduation party, and the next day, like my daughter and wife were like, "Oh, I wish more people would have come," and I'm like, "Oh, stop that." I was like, everyone who was here enjoyed it. Like, it was mostly because there was a lot of leftover food. And I'm like, people don't really come and pig out at parties like they did in the 80s. I don't think
yeah.
So, but like, I mean, a lot of the donuts were gone, but yeah, it was, you can look at that as like I woke up the next day and was like, wow, what a great day yesterday was. We celebrated my daughter graduating. Like our closest friends were here. Her friends were here. Like, so to be like, why is all this food, but someone else had a negative, not, I wish it could have been better, not that it was negative, but I try not to do that because, it doesn't really help anything, so.
Yeah. And I think like what you were saying too is like it's the appreciation, acceptance, acknowledgement of what is, that really is what the richness of life is, like what is actually happening is where the magic of life is, I feel like. And I think that we're definitely in our culture trained, it's like a reflexive thing. Like, oh, I wish this could have been, I think that's very reflexive for a lot of people until we stop and like, really just see what it is and what it was. And that's like the gift right there. Yeah. At least
instead just say, I like the fact that this, this or that, whatever it was. And, when they talk about manifesting, they say I like the fact and say the thing that hasn't even happened yet, like I like the fact that I finally have the job I always wanted, and then even if you don't, and you just keep saying that, and, that's what some people say works. And I certainly have had since the warehouse, just like nothing but luck. And I'm not I'm not making the money that I was when I was on MTV, but I didn't ask for that. I just asked to do music. That was what I wanted, and so I come out here to my little studio here, and I had bands in the last 3 days, and that's what I love doing. I sit here and play guitar with younger bands and tell them how to write their songs and etc. And I learned things from them as well. So that's what I asked for. So here we are.
Yeah. I just love that so much. And I mean, I think, your outlook on it is, that is the luck, right? Like you have, sir, we've seen your butt a lot. We did it. He is, talk about, this is I don't know when his actual birthday is, probably sometime in May, but he's very Leo. He's very like, look at me. Sir, we're the Leos, okay? Well, I'm kind of, it's our time right now. I'm
a Leo.
I know you're, yeah. I'm saying I have all the Leo moon and Leo rising. Yeah. I'm like, I'm half. But, what was I saying? Oh, just the way, like how, that's exactly it. I think that, and this is what I was like so excited to share too with the audience, is like the people have so much emphasis, at least, you see it in all like manifestation talk or just culturally, of this striving almost without thoughtfulness about what it is they actually want that actually resonates with who they are, and why. And music definitely, like, I love being in music at this time now, and I'm curious, I would think you probably feel similarly, where it's a different landscape, where when I started music, I never felt like I was built for, being like on a label and touring, like, and being the whatever, even though that was the only path, and I followed that path, for a bit. Yeah. And now it's fun because it's more like I can go, or I do go, like I have this music inside of me, and there are a bunch of ways to express it that resonate truly with me as a person, whether it's more of like the trades, I love that, or I can do my own music and be like, here I am, or whatever. But it's not about, just like the money and the fame, like, and like you said, that was never your intention. So for music in particular, it's fun now, but for people to think about, living an unconventional life and being successful in that life isn't about, I get so annoyed, honestly, when I hear people interviewing people being like, I'm just decided to think this way, and then I made 6 figures doing my whatever bit. And it's wonderful. I am very happy for them. I'm just very like, there are other stories that people, when they start going down the path, when they hit the roadblock or when they hit the warehouse job, they might go, what do I, and just go from there. And instead not have the mindset that's actually part of the journey to what's actually your soul's purpose and wishes and fulfillment and gifts to the world and all of that,
Yeah. There's a couple things that makes me think about, like, mind you, like, I know that I've like, and I'm sure you were similar, but I knew I loved music since it was like around first grade that I woke up and was like, I love the radio. And I asked for an album in second grade, and it was Queen's Greatest Hits. And I was obsessed with it, and I listened to it over and over and over and over and over again. And luckily, you mentioned your parents earlier, but like my mom was a musician, so it was always welcomed. Like, oh, there's mom's guitar, there's the piano, have that.
Same, yeah. Music was everywhere,
yeah. And I loved singing and everything. So, I mean, for me to go from warehouse to professional musician wouldn't have happened without the 25 years before that. But like, I have a jazz degree, and I've been obsessed with music. Like, I know every member of every band in the 80s and 90s, and all this useless information that just is interesting to me, only me.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to, because I always equate everything to belts. I'm like, you're a choral belt, which is like the highest belt you could possibly have. I was like, you would play something, or you'd be like, I'd be like, do you know how to play this? You listen for 15 seconds and be like, it's like this. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, it's weird. And I had my own experience where in 7th grade, I went and took lessons with someone that could play anything. And I was like, I don't understand why this guy's not famous and on TV, because he's clearly the greatest guitarist that's ever lived. And he was just sitting in a store in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. And, and I didn't know anything, but I was so hungry to learn it all. So, you have to find your thing. It's convenient for me that it's music, because it's such a thing compared to, you know, well, I believe you can make a living off anything that you love. My son loves skateboarding, and I'm just like, I'm not saying you're going to be a professional skater, but is there something in skating that because you're passionate about it, he skates every single day, like just go, you know, is there something you could do, anything that involves that, like skateboard clothing, like it doesn't matter, like, but you know, whatever your passion is, that one thing, you know, and I think a lot of people have that one thing. They watch a camping YouTube channel for every Sunday night when that video comes out. They are watching this guy who camps on the side of a mountain or knitting, or it doesn't matter, like making dresses, like, but like, you know, some things are harder to focus on, you know, but because they're not hiring skateboarding people down at the bars in Philly, but they are hiring musicians, you know, so, right. But that said, like, I think there's a path, because if you become an expert at that thing, and then, you know, you have, you know, I've watched a lot of videos about that, and that's sort of a thing for me, is like, you should do that thing that you love. Like, you should write that book. You should, whatever it is. And then people are like, it's easy for you to say, but like, really, like when I was young, like I was destitute for a long time because I would not give up on that dream. And I was like, all right, 2 more months and then I'm getting a job at Walmart, like whatever it has to be. And then sure enough, within those 2 months, something happened that got me to the next month, you know, and
right.
And so, you know, it's been a very long journey for me. That's what when I say like, just follow your dream. Like I've said it earlier, like it's not going to be easy at all, but but if you know that that's what you're supposed to do, then, and like, I always knew I had to take care of myself on the way. So I always had to have that stupid side job, you know, always like some crappy job. I mean, that's why they put me in charge of the warehouse. They're like, how do you know so much about warehouses? I'm like, I've been in a food warehouse. I've been in a furniture warehouse. I've had every shitty job in this whole area. Like, I'll be able to quit and go on tour on a moment's notice. And
right. Yeah.
But,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I think, I mean, again, that's one of my biggest, like in this podcast, I talk about all kinds of things because I obviously, you know, I'm such a nerd for a bunch of different topics, but ultimately, like, and that's kind of me leading by example of what I believe in is, and even if it isn't somebody's career, right, to do the thing, the expression of you, do it. Like, yes. And it doesn't have to be the most fantastical thing that's ever happened. Just pay a little bit of devotion to that calling that's within you, right? You know, there's a piece of that. And I think that's honestly what makes me devoted to doing this, especially at this time, is because people are inundated with all of the things that are happening in the world that are just so much. And I don't post about things really anymore because I feel like we have enough of that going on. I do the things that I know that I feel like I'm doing in the world, right? Like if I'm, you know, whatever the action steps you can take, but to remind people about that thing, like our creativity, whatever, like you said, if it's knitting, if it's skateboarding, if it's cooking, it doesn't matter, right? Like I love teaching. And that is a creative, you know, too, right? But I never would have thought about it like that. But, you know, I think it's a way of thinking. I think it's a part of our brains that really needs attention and love. And when we're all stressed out about the world and although these things are happening, you know, they're not always happening in front of us, right? So we have to have that separation of like the things that we can do, but the things that are not in front of us, the well-being of the people of the world, right? And then the things that are right in front of us. It is so important for us to contribute with our energy from our passions, right? So whatever that is, it's like that's your contribution to this world, that's the thing that was placed inside of you. And even if it's not your career, and that's the other thing, like people get like, I want to make, again, the 6 figures with my knitting company or whatever. And okay, maybe, I mean, I did well with haute couture with my jewelry, but it was a hustle, and I did not have a chance to do what music was calling. That was really what I wanted to do. And I loved my jewelry. I loved it so much. But I had to make that decision, like, okay, I really need to, I can't die and not have put my heart into music the way that I did with haute couture. Like, I got to get this done,
Yes, 100%. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Like you were saying that, doing music now is more fitting for, like, it's more comfortable for you than like going and playing a showcase for Sony Records or something, and I mean, that's why I don't really complain about the internet age with music, because it was never like, we could complain like, oh, we're not making money off records or streaming or whatever it is. But like back then in the 80s and 90s, like the companies were taking all the profits anyway. It was like, we were just getting cheated in a different, it's not like they were signing everybody, like this handful of bands got picked and you got left out. And now it's like, we all have a chance to say something, which is amazing. And I think it's why people are waking up, because there's not like 3 flavors of ice cream. There's like anything you like, it's there.
Yeah.
And you can express it in all these different ways. So, and I have like a thing about like, if someone has like a business, like I have a thing about like, I probably told you this before, but like Twitter came out and, I think Facebook came out first, and I was like, I can't get personal like this to my fans. Like, I'm not going to post this. I'm not part of this. And then Twitter came out, and like, there were certain celebrities that were so hilarious and witty with one sentence. And I was like, well, I'm not that witty, so I'm going to fail at this. I'm not funny in that way. And then Instagram came, and I was like, I take horrible photos. This is, and I just couldn't. I would post my photos, and they wouldn't get any attention. And I was like, I'm screwed. Like, the internet is going to end me. And then I realized my friend actually from the warehouse was like, man, you tell a lot of stories. Like, he's like, can I film you telling your stories and put them on YouTube? And I was like, nobody wants to hear my stories. He's like, no, I think people would. Like, I think your fans would. Like, not everyone, but like, I think he's like, you think these stories are boring, but your fans want to know, like, why did you leave Taking Back Sunday? What did you do after that? Why the hell are you in a warehouse? Like,
Right. Yeah.
So we made these like long videos, and they were like a big hit. And that's how Columbia wound up. Like, people in Columbia saw those videos and were like, can you come talk about your YouTube channel at our convention? And because it was like a music and technology type of event.
That's nuts. Wow.
Yeah. And so like, eventually I found the one that I liked. And then, like, if it wasn't going to be YouTube, it might have been a podcast like you're doing. Like, it's, but each person has their own, another person's not going to sit and talk for 20 minutes on a YouTube video. So they have hilarious one-liners that they're just hitting them out of the park on whatever their fan base is. So
right. Yeah. I know. I'm like, I have way too many words.
Yeah.
Twitter. I never got on Twitter. I was like, I can't.
No. And I with none of, like, I didn't. So my thought is just like, even though you might be failing at whatever Instagram, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to be huge. And like, there's TikTok or what. I'm not just saying these social media, because they're all horrible companies, obviously, but like, whatever. Like, maybe your thing is like a Patreon or like or just a Vimeo channel, or just a shop on Etsy, whatever it is. Like, but there's all these ways that didn't exist. You couldn't have gotten your handmade mittens into, Target back in the
whatever.
day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so many avenues now for us to be able to interact with the world. Yeah.
Which I think is great for creative people.
Yeah, I definitely do. I know. Yeah, it's really interesting. So, like my part-time right now, I do social media managing for a company in this area, and even just with my own thing. I very much am looking forward to not having to do social media because I've been doing it for so long. But I do find it is interesting, I don't not enjoy it. It's just more that I don't like that my brain thinks like, oh, that would be a good post, like out in the, you know what I mean? Like in the world, I'm like, I don't want that to be my thought process. But what's interesting is different, like just from a purely observational place, like I'll post a lot of the same. I know you're supposed to probably do it differently, but I'm managing like 19 accounts. So, I'll take one piece of content and put it across all the different platforms. And it's so interesting whether it's mine or the company I work for, like what does better where, when, and why, like each thing has its own audience and all of that, which is really, really interesting. And then, this is kind of I'm side questing a little bit, but thinking about just in terms of this, because I had posted that video recently about, I feel like the internet recently has gotten a lot more rude, I was posting about the other day, in a way that I've seen a lot of people just stop doing what they're doing and putting it out there. And I had the nicest revelation, I think like 2 days ago, because I was, I'm posting things, and obviously I'm doing things to bolster my career pursuits and all of that. But I'm also like, putting it out like, please don't. My TikTok for my music is literally come for the cat, stay for the music. So I've been having so much fun posting my cat videos because they're hilarious, I think. And people are enjoying them. And I'm like, look at my cats, show me your cats. And then I'll be like, and here's my music. And so it's been like a fun way to do it. And the other day I posted a video of Moosh. So she was sitting out on her deck. She used to be an outdoor cat. And she's sitting in a little, like, I called it like a little cubby. It's mat mated. It's so cute. It's like this little wood cubby. And she didn't want to come inside. There was a massive hailstorm that was happening. And she was like, I'm good. And I posted it. And then immediately after was worried that people were going to yell at me for letting my cat stay outside during a hailstorm. And I realized at that moment, I was like, okay, first of all, like if something for some reason, if it gets too mean, I'm just taking it down. I'm not going to worry about it. And then also I was like, really, because I do social media and because of, for Hawker Tory relied on it and for music, you rely on it. And I was like, you know what? I actually don't want to go viral. I was like, going viral is
no, that's not necessarily a good long-term equation.
Because everyone's like, go viral on whatever. I was like, I don't want to. I just want to like, all I want is for the people, for the weirdos who are like me, who want to like connect on that level. I hope you find me, I hope you find whatever it is that you need. And it could be 25 people who, like actually hit the like button, and I'm really happy we connected. Be cool.
No, that's kind of, the music business started to figure this out like a few years ago, that like you weren't going to like, at least like rock music and like certain types of music, alternative and stuff, you weren't necessarily going to like do that thing where you get signed for $1 million and then you have 1 million fans. Like it was more about having 1,000 fans that you super serve. And if they come to your show and buy a t-shirt, then that's you making a living, and they buy your records. And it's like, maybe you need 10,000 to actually make a living, but it's not about like for everybody anymore. Right. It's like, it's for my people that get what I do. And that's what everyone who's has a product should probably think about. And I think, cause if it's the mass produced stuff is just going to be crap. And the people that get what you're actually trying to do are, including the mass produced music, is crap. And then
right.
But someone's going to get that thing that you made that's got that extra feature. And then you just need that. You need those people, and you need to keep serving them with what, like, okay, they like my style. So I like of paintings or of clothing that I make or whatever, keychains, like cool keychains, whatever it is. And or your jewelry. And then you just keep, sending that to them. And so I don't know. That's the way I look at my music. And I don't, I had like 2 years ago was fall of 2023. And I got in my car with an acoustic guitar and a box of t-shirts and a box of records. I drove across the country. 2 months I spent going out and back. And I brought, I slept in my car half the time. Like I brought a tent. I was camping. I stayed at people's houses. I got hotels when I needed it, when it got really hot or really cold. And you know what? I was making a good living those 2 months. Like my wife was shocked. She's like, "Oh my God, you sent money home." Like, I'm like, I know, it's crazy. Like, but I had no overhead. It was just gas. And I just get out and plug in my guitar, play, sell a bunch of records and shirts, and then go to the next town 2 hours away. And
I love that so much. I think that's so great.
And I wouldn't have done it if my booking agent didn't quit. I had a booking agent. I kept telling him that I wanted to do an acoustic tour. And he said, the promoters aren't going to book it because you're only going to draw like 50 people in the Midwest, and it's not worth it for them to pay you. And if they don't pay you X amount, it's not worth it for me to book it, and it's not worth it for you to go. And he retired and went into real estate, and I just decided I was going. I was like, I'll go. I'm going to go 8 months from now. And in like May 1st, I started just emailing everybody, calling places, and it just started falling together. I was like, if I get the West Coast done, I'm going. And then all of a sudden I had 6 shows, and I was like, I think I'm going. And then I had 12 shows, and I was like, and it wound up being 40 shows in 8 weeks. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And and it worked out better that way without the agents, because there was no overhead, and people who had me play, they felt connected to me because I had been like, I called them personally and was like, will you book me? And they're like, I'm going to try harder for this guy and get my friends to all come out. And
right.
So it was, that was, so that was something magical that I did not expect to happen.
Well, and a lot of what the things, these really magical, like you said like luck, but again, I'm hearing the thread of the way that you look at things is what is allowing these things to happen. You're just like open to the experience, and you're allowing it to be what it is. The guy's like, I can't book these things. And you're like, okay, I'll just try then. And then it's like, oh, that was great. That was actually really great. Have fun in real estate. I'm going to have fun on the road. Like, you know. And most of the time, I think maybe not most of the time, but I think for a lot of people, they go like, oh, this isn't working. Like this didn't happen and didn't work or whatever, and I think that it's that act of being present. It's really, really cool to hear how that happens in your life. And I hope that people listening are like, oh, interesting. Like that's a really cool way to navigate life. I think it is. I very much think it is.
Well, and I've, thank you, actually.
Of course. Thank you for sharing it.
No, I think the thing is like we were talking about like whether this stuff helps better outcomes and whether like our attitude helps things. Like I can tell you that it helps me connect with more people, because people want to connect with that happier or that like that person that knows what they're looking for and that they want. And you start to get the attention of other other people that are doing what you want to be doing. And as a matter of fact, last fall, I reconnected with Adam from Taking Back Sunday, and we hadn't talked in 16 years, I think it had been. 16 years we went without talking because I had quit the band, quit Taking Back Sunday, and then I happened to see his manager at a Say Anything show. We were on tour in LA, and I started to realize, I always had these gripes of why I quit the band and how I was done wrong in certain ways and things like that. And I talked to her and I said, I've been trying to change my outlook on things, and I actually I have some things I want to tell Adam and basically apologize for, because I realized that we were just very different. I looked at things back then, and I didn't know I did until a therapist told me I look at things very black and white. Like, okay. So the way it applied to that band was, if someone was, didn't feel like getting up in the morning for the radio show because they had a rough night, or, hungover or tired or whatever, stayed up too late. To me, it was like, you didn't go to bed early like I did for this radio show. You don't care about the band as much as I do. It was just black and white to me. It was like, you clearly don't care about our band, so I don't want to be in a band with you, Whereas the reality was, he wanted to be in it as much as I did, but like, people do stupid things when they're 22 years old,
Well, yeah, part of it's just being 22. We don't know. Yeah, you're like, what was I thinking? And everybody around us, we're also doing the same thing.
Right. And yeah. And so it was just been this beautiful year for me, because he and I finally talked, and actually, when Say Anything went through North Carolina, where he lives, we went out to lunch together, and
that's awesome.
And I got to tell him all this stuff, and it was big, like it was a big load off for me, and him, and it turns out that he's got 3 kids now, and he's a dad, and he's grown up a lot too. Like, it wasn't just me, figuring it out. He's figured out everything, like a lot of stuff as well. And so now, like, we've just been, we'll call each other and talk for 2 hours, because, awesome. we missed all that time that we were best friends back in the day. And then, I quit, and then, and it got ugly, and then that was it. And I tried to reconnect with him in 2018. But it wasn't the right time, because some of the other guys in the band weren't ready to make amends with me. So, but now we did talk in 2018, but we hadn't seen each other until this meeting in North Carolina. And ever since then, it's been amazing. And last Christmas, I told him I want to come to a show. I haven't seen Taking Back Sunday play in all these years. So I was coming to their Christmas show in New Jersey, and they asked me to play 2 songs with them.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So I went.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I went and played, and it was, we were all crying. It was.
Oh my God. I can only imagine. Yeah. And it's Christmas. It's magical.
Oh, it was amazing. It was such a good, perfect night for me. And they welcomed me back like old family. It was really beautiful. So
that's really, really, I love that. I think a lot of times, whether it's bands or just friendships in general, especially when we're in our 20s, at least I've observed it in many, maybe just our friend group, I don't know, but I've observed it a lot, where it's just like, like people, Carl and I, we didn't speak for probably about that same amount of time. And now we're, best buds. So like, and it's, you just, you look at things differently, and there's like always more to things going on at the time that people don't know what's going on in each other's lives. And a lot of that, I think, really is like, if it's band related, for sure. Being in a band, I would always joke, is like having like, you're in a relationship with like 4 or 5 other people. So if you already have a significant other, well, now you have 6 of them. So it's like, or however many, right? Like it's a whole other family. It's a whole other dynamic.
It's impossible.
I mean, it's one reason that I have been just doing most of the things myself. I'm like, how can I play live but by myself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's just, it's a lot, but that's
why I went out in the car by myself, because I was like, my band is it's harder to bring us all out. It's like, oh my God, never mind.
It's just coordination, like everybody. Yeah. And people, I don't have kids, and people sometimes be like, why? And I'm like, well, I was, there's a couple of reasons. One of them definitely was being like the mom in a band and the lead singer and the manager. You're like, does everyone have everything? Okay. It's not my strong suit. So, but I'm so happy that you guys reconnected, because it's just like, it's like closing a loop in a way, right?
Yeah. I always felt like the people I played with in bands would still play with me if possible, because I wasn't that. I'm like, as long as they would still play with me, I wasn't that horrible to be in a band with,
Right.
And it was always the case, except for maybe I wasn't sure about those guys. And so for me to go play with them at Christmas time was like, all right, I was, it lets me forgive myself for anything that I did do,
Well, I mean, I think it's really, it speaks highly of you that your reflection is in that direction. Like, not everybody does that. A lot of times people still perseverate on like, that person did something, and like I'm saying, I think we, don't really, like when we're 20 something, we think that we're aware of what's going on adult wise, right? But it's really just our first pass. Like I think about it like rotations through. It's really, I'm sorry, Maynard's about to eat something he shouldn't be eating. Excuse me, sir. I know. He's like, oh, is it plastic? I love it. And I'm like, great. I'm like, please don't do that. I think that, it's only our first pass through a lot of things. And I think for me, the older I've gotten, it's easier to just see things as like cycles and to not get as attached to stuff, because you're like, okay, I've seen this, or just avoid, certain personalities and things. You're like, oh, this is an oil and water. I've seen this one. Or like, this is just a little rough start. We'll figure it out. Like you've got more context. And so it's great when it's like later in life and you can go like, okay, hey, even if we're not going to hang out all the time or whatever, let's just like heal this from our past and then start a new chapter, however that may look.
Yeah. And if someone does do something like actively bad to me, I almost take it more like, I knew not to let this happen. Mm-hmm. Like I put myself in that position, and then that's what I, like you said, like maybe don't get into that situation again. Like I tried to figure out like people that were close to me who, had negative effects on me. Should I cut them out of my life? And I read something that said, well, just limit your exposure to that person. It's like a family member or a best friend, or, And so I just, you learn those boundaries, and you don't have to just never talk to them again, because they're, I mean, some people you do, but I'm just saying, like, I have friends that are good intentioned, but they drive me crazy. So I don't, they don't deserve me to never talk to them again. But like, maybe we just, hang out once in a while, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty. There's so much language out there. And I've talked about this in some episodes about like boundaries and energy management of like people around you. Like I just put out an episode about like why I don't match energy, because I would see a lot of people be like, I'm going to match energy, so you decide how we're going to act. And I'm like, no, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like I did that. That is not a good look for me, and for most people, you know. It's like being able to, yeah, definitely. Like I had a couple, since I've been here, I had 2 interactions with people who they had energy I hadn't seen in a while, and it was not cool. And I was very taken off guard. I like talked to my therapist about it. I was like, I don't know what's going on. She was just like, so it was very revealing in the sense of like there's time for sure and these were new people. It wasn't like old friend kind of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that little, you know, I'm so hyper vigilant about, red flags and people when it comes to safety and all of that. And I've had to learn how to make sure that also applies to just like, if people are not going to act crazy, and go, oh, they're the biggest red flag for that behavior, and to kind of learn how to tell when that's around and limit exposure or Yeah.
And I mean, it's also good if you can have that in certain work situations. Sometimes you can't, but like at the studio here, I have an assistant / partner, like who mixes all my stuff. And sometimes I don't gel with a certain band, like because of whatever reason, like they're just more high strung and I'm super calm or whatever. And I'm not, and they're annoying me, let's just say.
Yeah. But
Steve is so much different than I am. He's more like less casual, I would say. So he can more easily put that person in their place, or he just can deal with it easier than I can. So like sometimes I'll be like, all right, you're doing the bass today because I'm going to be out getting lunch during that. And
yeah.
And so that helps. I have my little team and I'm like, oh, this guy's going to drive Steve crazy, so I'll handle him today. And
right.
That kind of, try to find solutions. But that's something, if you own your own business, it's easier to manage.
Yeah.
But I don't want that person, just because they annoy me, I don't want them to not come here. But I can't deal with it. So, all right, Steve, you're up.
Different personalities. There is such a thing as like chemistry and people like jiving personality wise. And there's nothing, this is why I love astrology, of course, because I'm like, tell me about your astrology. Yeah. But like, that's why, it is really great to have that like team, whether it's like your spouse or whatever. I know Matt and I are very similar. Like we're very good at, he's so grounded. He's just like the most grounded. And, we have a good like bounce back and forth when it comes to like things that happen in our lives. I'm definitely like, let's dream as big as possible. Like, love that. Let's also get it in reality, somewhere.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's good like that.
I'm not saying you're not grounded, but knowing that he seems like a great balance. So,
yeah, so. I'm more grounded than I have ever been, but in like, not in a way that doesn't dim my enthusiasm for dreaming.
You believe like I need someone to fill in my peaks and valleys every day. And it's all the different people that I interact with and exactly. I've seen a lot of growth from you, and even the fact that you, left the East Coast. That's you had to be brave to pull that one off.
Yeah. That was definitely like, I mean, I'd wanted to leave for like, since I was 18, I wanted to live somewhere else, you know, but, it just like wasn't happening. But honestly, moving it did take so much, coordination and everything that it's so good that it happened when it did. Cause again, with Matt, like we're just a really good team in that sense. So like, you know, like I would have not known how to I would have figured it out, but it would have been so much more stressful. So like, it's just been wonderful. We love it here. And yeah, I mean, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I love all the posts, and you know, I always see them, and I'm always rooting for you, and I know you're rooting for me, you know, because we know like it's not, you know, we're both trying to do like this unusual stuff, and like, even if it's not exactly music, like, you know, like I said, I do all kinds of stuff, like recording bands is well, that's creative, but like I then take the knowledge from that, and I do like sound systems, like I would work the wrestling matches. I don't know if I
love that too. Yeah. I love that because I would go to those matches.
Yeah, grappling league and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and the MMA and the fake and the, what do we call it? Pro wrestling, we'll call it, not fake wrestling.
Right. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, I find all of it super interesting, and like I said, you know, like teaching and everything. Like I'm just very much more in a place in terms of having like the outlook of that we're talking about. Anything that happens, like putting it, like I know I made the right decisions in terms of letting Haute Couture go, moving here, and all that. And this has been, you know, it's tested my faith in myself and in my dreams in the way that like, am I going in the right direction kind of thing. But ultimately I just know that I know I am, you know, like I know that I have this in me for a very specific reason, basically, or just general, you know, life purpose reason or whatever. And I know that I'm doing something, like you said, unusual, where I am doing this from Colorado because I want to be next to the mountains and I don't want to live in LA. I'm happy to visit whenever, you know. I don't mind LA. I just want to be in the woods pretty much. And it's not
absolutely.
And yeah, what's fun now is that as I've peeled apart all of the things of music, like I was saying before, when people have like an idea of like it has to be a certain kind of way, I have such like I love making trailer music. I think I have a good aptitude for it. I think I've only really been doing it for like a year and a half, but I think I found some, like, I really genuinely, I love it. It's so much fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like everything I love about like the drama of storytelling and sound design, and just whether I'm remixing or doing a cover, it's challenging, but it's fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I want to send you some that I've done recently. Like, so like, but I'm open. I'm just like, I'm very much like, okay, where next? Where are we going? Like,
yeah. That's no, I know that. The rest of it, I just sit and wait, you know. So and things come, and I just want to keep doing stuff like this. So I when I'm making my YouTube videos, like I should have mentioned, like when I'm making those, I come in the house and I go, I could do this for a living all day long. Like, this is the best thing ever. And sometimes it does feel like teaching, and sometimes like, and I have these other plans of making, like, I have my techniques of teaching guitar. So should I be putting together those videos and doing that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, please.
Thank you. But you know, but it's, so you got to also, I got to make sure there's times in the past couple of years where I've been like, I'm currently doing 9 things to make an income right now. I've got to get that down to 6. You know?
Yes, I understand. So, I mean, I think I love that you say it like that, because I think that is, it's like we were saying before, you can do whatever you want, and it's not to be like, it'll be hard. It's more that it's all going to be, adulting is hard, right? So like pick the hard thing that at least rewards your soul, as opposed to the thing that just, like, drains your soul. You know, if you want to do something, you may have to really problems, especially if you want to do it yourself without having a boss to tell you what to do. You're going to have to problem solve a lot. And like, that's just, there's nothing has gone wrong if you are doing that. If you're trying to figure out like all the different ways, like nothing's gone wrong. You're doing it. That is what it is. You know?
And another thing that like I probably could close with, like one of my bigger messages is like, it's going to possibly happen a way that you didn't expect. Because I was in a band before Taking Back Sunday, and we were touring 5 months a year, and we had a record deal, and it was my life. I wrote all the songs with my band, and I was the singer, I was the lead guy, and I was like, it's just gonna get a little bigger each year until we're a big band. And then just like rug got pulled out because Taking Back Sunday needed a guitarist, and they had just hit 100,000 records sold, and it was like, oh man, like, you know, my band sold 9,000, and this band's about to go gold, and I was like, all right, I got to do this, and so I left this. It was like I'll say that it felt like winning the lottery, but then like my heart breaking, like losing my best friend at the same time, because I knew that this thing I had worked for 3 years on touring was going to have to end in order for me to join this other band. So like, and same with Elena, my wife, you know, she had this cookie business, and it was growing and growing, and she was working 40 hours a week making vegan cookies, and they were really popular. And if you went to Philly and Center City, there would be at the Whole Foods at the checkout line, there were her cookies. Like that Wawa was talking to her, like it was like about to blow up. And then she goes, I'm going to open a restaurant instead. And I was like, are you crazy? Like, we're about to sell 1 million cookies. She's like, no, I don't want to own a factory. That's not what I envisioned. I want to still deal with the customer, and I want them to tell me whether it was good or not, you know, so I can always get feedback. And, you know, it just was more, and I always wanted to own a little thing in Westchester, in our town. And so she did that, and I was like, this is crazy. We're giving up the cookie. The cookies are a big part of that shop, and they're successful and everything. But now she's been open for 8 years now, and it's totally does well. It's a vegan restaurant. And, you know, love again
local, right? Yeah. It's a beloved Westchester staple now.
Yeah, but like it happened in a way that, I mean, she went to school for painting, for fine arts. You know, she never even worked in a restaurant before, and she owns one, you know, so
it's so cool.
So it might happen in a way that you didn't expect, but you still have to keep pushing. You know, I wouldn't have gotten in Taking Back Sunday if I wasn't on tour 5 months a year, because being out there at every show, everyone's like, oh, that guy's good at guitar, or that guy's a nice guy, or whatever. So then when they needed someone, like, you should call Fred, he's great, you know, and
right.
And that was it, you know. And whereas if I was working a 9 to 5 and just doing lessons at night, which is, you know, or something like that, then I wouldn't be in the thing that I wanted to be in, you know.
Right. So you're like, I like to give the analogy of a sailboat a lot. I'm pretty sure I heard it from somebody else at one point, but it really resonates with me, because it's like, all right, I'm going to go this direction, like on the ocean or whatever. But you like just adjust, you know, your sails, like, okay, a little bit here, a little bit, you know, and your path might be like, woo, but you get to your destination because you had to like navigate around some things, or you took a side quest or whatever. But you're always like going in that direction. And I think the other thing that you're saying that I'll say is that you're a super nice person and a very genuine person. And that really goes a long way. That I think that goes such a long way. I think in business, like at least growing up, maybe just like 80s, 90s culture, you had to be like cutthroat to like be in business or whatever. And I love that that's like not the case actually. Like
no,
people like to work and be around and talk to people who have a good attitude and who are kind, like you're like a genuine nice person and who also kicks ass at what they do. I love seeing that. That's my favorite to see. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, that is why, like, even if there's not like this, Star Wars, the Force out there, like pulling the strings, and then me being a nice person and being positive, maybe it's not actually creating outcomes, but it's naturally creating outcomes because you have a magnetism to your personality, because you care about other people and you care about the art or whatever you're doing. And,
right.
And then you're like, I admire that in a person. I want to team up with that person. And and that's why I wanted to do your podcast, because you're awesome, and it kind of, and then the next person will want to do it. And, so that's, even if, like I said, even if it doesn't affect reality, it still can affect your relationships and your part in the world,
Yeah. And how you experience reality, right? Like your actual experience of it. Yeah. I thank you so much for your time today and hanging out with me here.
Anytime. Yeah. It was so nice. Thank you. I missed you, and
I know I miss you. I miss our chats and lessons and everything. And I still go through my notes and I try to remember what I was doing. I was like, so I may be like, can you tell me again what that means?
I'll be playing out there, I think, in September. So I'll have to. Oh, nice. I'll have to, you and Matt could come out again.
Yeah. We'd love to come see you. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. I can't wait to share this. I really appreciate you sharing so much. Honestly, so many of the things that I love to talk about here, you shared without me even prompting you. And I was like, thank you. Cause it's,
oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think the older I get, or whatever, the longer I'm here on Earth, I feel like that's like a more fun way to say it. It's more accurate. I've been here a while, and I'm like, our mindset is the filter, which how we experience the world. That's your mindset does that. And it's not always the easiest thing to cultivate it, but it is possible to cultivate it. So like, that's really, I love, and just as your friend, also hearing your journey and the way that your mindset like played into it. It's very inspiring. It was something I needed today too.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Where are the heroes?